Welcome back to the National Defense. It's Randy Miller. You know, we always love to hear from the gang at Wounded Warrior Project. They do such great work in so many different areas for veterans, and especially with like caregivers. You know, we talk about military caregivers a lot on the show, and they mean so much to people with serious injuries or disabilities. And May marks Month of the Military Caregiver. So we wanted to spotlight the parents, spouses, siblings, and kids. And I want to get into that with the kids because that's a big part of this that help care for a wounded service member or veteran. Director of Independent Services at Wounded Warrior Project, Kelly Parker, joins us now to talk about the important role of caregivers. Kelly, how are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me, Randy. And you're right. Our caregivers play such an important role in caring for our veterans who have injuries, that have negatively impacted their independence, from everything from taking care and supporting them with their activities of daily living, like getting ready, medication management, but they're also supporting our warriors physically and emotionally too. So such an important role that they play.
Yeah. And Kelly, talk to us about the types of injuries that you're talking about.
Sure. So in the Independence Program, we support our warriors who have been catastrophically injured. So we're talking about warriors living with moderate to severe brain injury, spinal cord injury, or other neurological conditions like ALS, Parkinson's, dementia, and things like that. So in the Independence Program, independence can look different for every single veteran and their family. For some warriors, it can mean relying less on their caregivers. For other warriors, it could be avoiding a transfer to a group living situation unless that is the most appropriate placement. For others, it could just be about getting more engaged in their community. We're really just focused on improving our veterans' overall quality of life and also improving the caregiver and the family's quality of life.
Absolutely. We're talking to Kelly Parker here from Wounded Warrior Project on the National Defense Military Caregiver Month. And, Kelly, the other thing that we've talked about on this show a lot is that with technology now, people are living longer and people are sustaining injuries more and more and living at an advanced age. So the caregiving is so important. Talk to us about how you help the warrior and caregiver.
Sure. So in the Independence Program, like I said, independence can look different for each warrior and for each caregiver. So we get to know that warrior specifically and their specific needs. So it can look like a warrior and family support member wanting to get more connected and engaged in their community through hobbies, through activities, through support groups. It can also be, oftentimes, like you said, the caregiver is a parent. They're aging just like their warrior is aging. So we provide those opportunities to get connected back into their community. We also provide opportunities to get connected through alternative therapies like music, art, creative writing, equine therapy. Again, it's just really what is important to that warrior and to their caregiver.
And Kelly, I know that Wounded Warrior Project has so many programs in place to support the caregivers. Tell us about that, if you will.
Sure. We know that a well-supported caregiver leads to a positive impact and a well-supported veteran. So we have many different programs and opportunities to make sure that we're supporting the warrior and the caregiver. Peer support is very important. And so in Wounded Warrior Project and in the Independence Program, we like to create space to connect our caregivers through both virtual and in-person activities and events. We know that getting that support from another caregiver and having that peer connection is so, so important. So we work as a team to create these opportunities to ensure that our caregivers are participating in these opportunities and that we're providing their warriors the appropriate support so that that caregiver can take that time and know that while my warrior is being taken care of, I can take some time and take some respite to make sure that I'm taking care of myself.
Oh, that is so important. We're talking to a Director of Independent Services at Wounded Warrior Project, Kelly Parker. Yeah, that time off, that little bit of respite from doing the same thing you do every single day for your warrior. And Kelly, we've talked about the need for a plan before. How important is that long-term planning in the population of wounded veteran?
It's so important. And like you said, our caregivers, many of them are spouses, many of them are parents, and they're aging too. So we were hearing from our caregivers, what happens to my loved one? What happens to my veteran if something happens to me? So we listened to that and we responded with our continuous care services program. So this program offers long-term care planning for our families. So our warriors and our caregivers, they participate in a benefits assessment to make sure that their benefits are all taken care of and are maximized and they're getting everything that they're entitled to. We also support our warriors going through life care planning and estate and financial planning, so that in the event that that caregiver can no longer take care of their warrior, a plan is already put into place. And we are hearing from our families that there is now a peace of mind knowing that if something ever happens, the plan is set. We know what's going to happen. We know that our loved one is going to be taken care of, because we help families and really hold their hand and walk them through all of these very important services and make sure that they have that peace of mind.
Yeah, and we talked about at the beginning, anybody could be a caregiver, parents, spouses, siblings, and kids. Mm-hmm. And Kelly, I think people would be surprised about how many kids turn into caregivers, right?
Absolutely. It's really the whole family. And we really want to take that holistic approach and make sure that we have, that we're supporting the whole unit. And you're absolutely right. Many children, families' lives were changed, and that changed the lives of children. And they're leaning in and they're supporting and providing support to their loved ones, just like our caregivers are. They're learning a lot at a very early age, and they're stepping in to provide additional support too. So it's absolutely important to look at the family as a whole and support not just the caregiver, not just the veteran, but also the kids too, and the whole family unit.
Absolutely. It's a 24/7. Man, what a responsibility. And thank goodness you guys are helping with that. Thank you for joining us, Kelly. Great resources for caregivers. Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Thank you so much for having me.